We got it, and we are working, and we are live. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in our amazing, beautiful world. Thank you for joining us. Of course, my name's Sophia from sacredyou.love, which is a website for our sacred community. But more importantly, much more importantly, today joining me for shining the light on the community is our beautiful Celia.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Sophia. What a lovely welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us, Cecilia. I'm going to call you Cecilia, but it's Celia. For our conversation, I'm really excited. Let me just find out a little bit about you first. Let me introduce you to all our amazing listeners, wonderful listeners. So you're a creative visionary, and now a personal cosmic soul guide. I love that. Celia, you create a safe space for women seeking inner joy and connection to their own wisdom. Okay, and you can find your passion for living in creative flow with the universe and recalibrate your life so that it becomes vibrant and magical, full of self-discovery and purposes. I love that. And I really want to know more. You're talking my language, Celia. It's going right into my heart. I love it. Creative visionary, personal cosmic soul guide, and of course an author, which we are all going to find out about very soon. So again, thank you for joining us. Love to know more about you, Celia. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how did you get to where you are now?
Great question. Yes. How do we end up here? But actually, we sort of is the beginning here, I think.
Yes.
So I talk about the fact that I have always been a teacher. I resisted it for a little period, but I've always been a teacher. When I was about 7, I used to line all my dolls and teddies up. And I had a mark book, and they did their spellings and their sums, and and I had my blackboard in my playroom. And what I loved as I moved through my life, I would help my friends with their with their homework, and they said, "Oh, you're so good at explaining." And I would go, "Well, doesn't everybody do this? Isn't this everybody's? Isn't everybody like that?" And I got to that point where I went, well, I'm certainly not, and I had to choose a career. I thought, well, I'm not going to be a teacher. But the universe had other ideas. So I did my teacher training. And as I've moved through life, I have been in that, I've had those opportunities to share and to inspire and to use my communication skills and really allow other people that I've worked with to find a deeper message. And that is my definition of a teacher. That really is, sharing that passion, giving inspiration. And so, my life went on, and I taught my children. I was very fortunate. I was able to be at home with my kids. And so I taught them a lot of the things they know. About how to tidy your room is a very important one, which they always remind me of. And then I realized that I was working with young people. I was very good at my job, helping them, guiding them, thinking about what they wanted to do for their future. And I realized that I got to listen to my own teaching, that I got to do the thing that lights me up, which is about sharing my passion, sharing my wisdom with women who have experienced similar things to me, or that they get to a point in their life and they go, I want to do something differently. I want to do things in a different way. I feel very passionate about, we are in the global situation that we have at the moment. The old ways don't work, and we get to do things differently. And so that's now where I've moved into. So that's a little bit about me.
A little bit, but that's a little bit, and it's so inspirational.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, to following your passion and helping others following it. And I love also the title of the topic for our conversation, which is something that is dear to me. It's free to be me. Reawakening to our purpose. And I've experienced so much, even myself, as I was growing up all through this journey. We spend so much time trying to be other people or trying to be what we perceive other people think we should be.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Without actually being ourselves. So tell us more about that. Like, how can we be free to be ourselves, and what does it really mean?
Yes, I think, I think why I've picked that title, why that is so important to me about being free to be me, is because of times in my life when I didn't feel free to be me. It is through our deepest wound that we find our greatest medicine.
Yes.
So when we experience challenge and life's ups and downs, shall we say, we'll call them traumatic experiences, because I think, if you are listening to this live stream, if you are listening to this message, you are called here because you have experienced something that you are, let's go, quote unquote, working through. Or maybe you've not quite realized that is a thing. I resisted for years, actually acknowledging that losing my father when I was 10 actually was having an impact on every area of my life. And it's only when we start to do that deep inner work through some I use fun, creative tools in working through these experiences. But when we start to do that, it's like peeling back the layers, and we start to really discover who we are at the heart. And I speak from a very authentic place. I like to be rebellious and I like to be quirky, and I discovered that was the real me. And as we dive deeper, of course, every layer we peel back reveals something else about how we discover who we are, who we really are. And within that, we of course find this amazing joy, because our heart is going, oh yes, this is who I am, this is who I was meant to be. And we start living our life purpose. And as we do that, I find we are supported more and more to enable us to reach out and to support others and help others, because people go, oh yeah, I recognize that. So that's, being free to be me it just lights me up, because finally I get to be me. And you go, oh, actually that feels quite easy. You mean all I've got to be is me. I haven't got to be somebody else. I haven't got to live up to other people's expectations. So that's very freeing.
It is. Totally. And I totally agree with you, because trying to be someone else or trying to be, to live up to someone's expectations is put so much pressure on us.
Yeah.
And when we give ourselves permission to allow ourselves just to be who we are, it's so freeing. What do you say to people who, who come along and say, well, I don't really know who I am. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what free to be me means.
Yeah. I think what is really important is that you recognize that you have gifts, you have wisdom. And we're not always taught how to discover that. And I'll use my teaching example. I was so good at teaching that I thought, well, doesn't everybody do this? And I think there's a piece there about self-worth. And you go, well, if I can do it, anybody can.
Yes.
And there's the first golden key that I talk about, finding your inner magic. I talk about a treasure chest. I wasn't going to talk about the treasure chest today. There's a conversation for a future episode.
Oh,
but
please.
You know, it's perhaps I'll come back and talk about the treasure chest. But it is about finding the thing that you are so good at that you don't think it's difficult. And other people go, oh, but you're so good at that. So often I invite people to actually talk to friends. You know, how do others see you? Because other people often see in us what we have a little bit of a blind spot around who we are and what we're really good at. And the first thing that you get to do is that permission piece. So I'd love to talk a little bit more, if that's okay, about permission, because
definitely
this is where the journey starts.
Yes.
And it's a little bit like the sat nav. You know, you've got a sat nav, and we do need to put in a destination, but destination isn't, oh, well, I want to be, you know, this is what I want to be doing. It's how would you like to feel? And I invite people to think, how would you like to feel in, let's say, a year's time? How would you like, well, you might think about who's around you, you know, what are you doing? But more importantly, what emotions are you feeling? Are you feeling full of joy? Are you feeling that you've got loads of energy, that, you know, you could climb to the top of the mountain? Just sort of take a moment to think about that. How do I want to feel? So there's your destination in your sat nav. And then, of course, the next thing you put into your sat nav is, where am I starting? So you go, oh, well, how do I feel now? And you go, oh, right, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is maybe what I'm doing for work. This is how, this is the family that is around me. And how do I feel about all of that? So we're very much thinking about our feelings or our emotions. So we've got our destination. We've got our start. Of course, it's interesting to know where people think of their destination and their start point, but that's another whole episode. So I'm going to go, here's my destination. Here's my start. And then if you're going to take a journey, you think about, how are you going to get there? And I think about my car, and I think, oh, well, my car's not got any fuel. My car has a flat tire. I don't want to travel on my own. It's going to be really lonely. And so what state is your vehicle in for traveling? And this is where I invite people to start planning. What do you need for your journey? You know, if it's a long journey, I will admit, if we're going on a long journey, I love to take bacon sandwiches. So that requires a little bit of planning ahead. How about, you know, going to make my bacon sandwiches to eat in the car on the way. And so what resources do you need? How are you going to be nourished on that journey? And this is where all of those limiting beliefs start to pop up. Oh, I couldn't possibly go on a long journey because I'm too old. Who's going to listen to me? I'm not good enough. All the, you know, keep quiet, be still, don't make a fuss. All of the limiting beliefs that we have picked up along the way stop us actually making that getting in the car and starting on the journey. It may be, I love this analogy of the car because you can just expand with it. Maybe your car has broken down at the side of the road. You thought you knew where you were going, and you've gone, oh, my car's conked out. Maybe you've taken a wrong turn and you're going down this twisty, windy lane, and you go, this can't possibly be the right way. And so sometimes we have to reset where we're starting from. So we have our start, we have our destination, we've got a plan in place. And then we need to promise ourselves that we are going to deal with these resources or the lack of resources. Maybe it is you need somebody to guide you on the way. Maybe you need to start a daily practice where you actually fill up your energy system every day. That's your promise. And then you get to give yourself permission to take that one small step. Now, it would be, you know, I went through a lot of my life hoping that somebody else was going to give me permission. Sophia can't give you permission. I
No.
can't give you permission. We can witness you and we can cheer you on, but you are the one that gets to make take that permission and say, yes, this is what I'm going to do for me, to be free, to actually take one small step towards that destination of how you'd like to be feeling in the future. So that is one of my magical keys that I talk about in my book. My book always likes to be seen. Oh, there we go.
Yep, the garden
party. And these are the transformational tools that I use when I'm working with people.
Absolutely. And I love it. I love your analogy of the car because it makes so much sense, because we are on a journey. You know, we do all have a starting place, and I'm pretty sure everyone, you know, if we take just some time, it's like, how do we want to feel? Do we want to continue feeling like this, how we're feeling now? Or do we want to change that? And how would you really like to feel? And for that, and that's different for everyone. But I love your whole analogy. So thank you so much for sharing that. And it is all about giving ourselves permission.
Yeah.
You know, allowing ourselves to go on that journey, and not, you know, and not depending or expecting that someone else has to give us permission, but just allowing ourselves. Yeah.
And I think when we do this, you know, when we start this journey of inner work, where we say, you know, I'm here and I want to be somewhere else, we are acknowledging that there is work to be done. You know, it'd be lovely we just wave a magic wand and we sort of, you know, we can't teleport yet. We don't just bounce to another. We work through that, and we start to understand our life experiences and how, you know, how they have impacted us. I talk a lot about the power of journaling. I'm a strong believer in writing. Not just, you know, I mean, I've written a book, but that was something that was a complete surprise that I could write like that. But I have always loved writing my thoughts, you know, keeping a diary, and just allowing our inner wisdom to come through and out onto the page, even the days when, you know, it would be a long rant of, I am so tired, I don't know how I'm possibly going to get to work today, I am so tired, I don't want to do. And actually, even that gets it out of my system. It gets it out of my churning around inside my head, out onto the page. And then you'd sort of pause for breath and say, oh, wow, but look how amazing the garden is. Or you hear something, or even see something on Facebook that inspires you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
So,
yeah.
Power of written word.
The power of written word is incredible, and I agree with you. Journaling, you know, it's just or some people call it automatic writing or free flowing, that you just write, you know, and to start off with writing about your feelings, or what you want, what you don't want. So totally agree with you. Thank you for sharing that. Now tell us a little bit more about your book, that we can see about the garden party.
Yeah. So the garden party is my story. It's a story of growing up in a quite idyllic Oxfordshire village, and I moved around the country to quite a few different places. But as I tell my story, I invite you to reflect on your own journey and your own story. So, you know, I talk about my childhood, and then I invite you to journal, and there's space in the book. I call them doodle spaces and magical journaling, so that you can write in the book. And you go, and there's the people go, oh, write in a book, oh my goodness, you know, am I allowed to do that? And you go, yes, you are. So, you know, you have some spaces, you've got some journal, oh, there we go, journal spaces, and places to, you know, sometimes you'll just see a symbol or something and you just want to do a little doodle. So it's a very interactive book. So I tell my story, And it's a story of, there is a love story in there, which is my own love story, but then I tell my parents' love story. They were married just after the war, and my father brought my mother for a wedding gift a gold charm bracelet, and then each year he chose a charm which represented their year. It's really interesting. I always get the chills as soon as I tell their story. And I've taken each of those charms because I knew this story. I would sit with my mum and go, oh, why did you have that charm? And why was it, what happened in that year? But from those stories came wisdom for other people, for the world, for us to reflect on our own journey. And so, as I've shared with the start of the journey, the symbol on the gold charm bracelet was actually a little St. Christopher, which was for protection and strength as they started their journey. And so there are 15 magical charms, magical keys that have become my medicine that I am able to bring to other women. So there are, there are the times when they went through the mill. They had a really rough year. And so but those are the times when we see the greatest transformation. Yes. When we actually go and say, oh, I need, I'm, those times. I can remember times when getting out of bed in the morning was actually something to celebrate, because I'd got to such a low point in my life. So we do celebrate. We celebrate the wins. We stop and smell the roses of actually, look how far you've come. If you're ready to start your journey, we don't just go, oh, we get in the car and then we drive until we get there. We pause on the way, we take in the view, and we stop and we appreciate that. And finding your voice, she says, needing a sip of water. So I know it's important.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Times when I felt I couldn't say what I was thinking. So I couldn't speak my truth. And then as you move through life, you go, oh, no, actually, I do have a voice, and, I'm not afraid to use it. But I'm allowed to say, no, it's about setting boundaries, and not doing things the same way that they've always been done.
Yeah. Absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. And I love your whole explanation, and especially about going through challenges and how, your parents and everyone, we go through challenges, we get, we're wounded in whatever way, but it can be our greatest medicine.
Yes. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Stuff. So how do you find your greatest medicine in your challenges?
Yes. Yeah. It is about, I think, the example I use in the book, the symbol is actually of a little water mill. And when I started to meditate about that mill and what happens, the mill is noisy and it can feel overwhelming and it's dusty and dirty, but the mill produces the flour. So take yourself back several hundred years and imagine, you've got your bag of grain and you want to make some bread. Then you take it to the mill and the grindstones crush the grain.
Yes.
So we are under pressure. But I love this. When I started to research this, it was just beautiful. A skilled miller knows how much pressure to apply to allow the grain to release the flour, because you don't want to just squash it flat. So it's just enough pressure. And so we discover resilience. We learn how resilient we are as we deal with our pressure. And what comes out of the mill is that flour that produces the bread, which is life sustaining. We learn that if the water isn't flowing for the mill, then if the water's not flowing, the grindstones don't turn. And, you know, in medieval times, people would starve because if the mill can't turn, then you can't produce any flour. And isn't that true for us? You know, so we talk about keeping the creative flow, keeping the rivers clear of debris. So we start to nourish our own lives. So there's so many analogies within the stories that I tell about, you know, what do we learn when we're going through pressure? Well, actually, we learn resilience. We learn the importance of our creative boundaries, creative flow, clearing out our, nourishing our creative river, as Dr. Estes talks about in Women Who Run with the Wolves.
Yes, yeah, which is an amazing book. Amazing book. I've read that one. So thank you. And thank you all for sharing all these nuggets and stuff, which people can find out more about in reading your book. So first of all, where is the garden party available?
Okay, so you just need to hop over to the website, celiabarsby.com. So come on over to the website. The book is available there if you want to have a book to write in, but there is also the Kindle version, so then an ebook if you would rather do that, and you can just follow the prompts and write in your own journal. Very excited that there is an audio version that is just out, so have a look at the website. That's all part, there's some fabulous special bundles on there, but you can get everything through the website,
which is wonderful. And we will be putting all your links in the comments as soon as we finish our conversation, for everyone who's watching live and on replay and stuff like that. And thank you so much for coming. But before we finish, do you have anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
So on the link that you're going to put below, the link will take you to the website, but you can also access a free gift, which is my little workbook, which is all about the start of the journey. It even has a permission slip in there for you, which is absolutely beautiful. So if you think, oh, you know what, I'd like a permission slip that I can sign and go, I give myself permission. So there's a workbook there with some journaling prompts, and just inviting you to explore a little bit deeper about where you are on your journey. It will also include a link if you would like to come and talk to me about where you are on your journey, if you would like any tips, if you've got any questions that come up in the book, for example, you can book a free hour session with me. So that is what I would like to gift to your listeners today.
Wonderful. Thank you ever so much. Before we go, Celia, I really have one last question. You know, like, because you're such a vibrant personality, vibrant personality. But can I ask you, you know, like, it's a challenging world to live in today's world, if we allow it to be. And, you know, for some people, and I think you said even, you know, before, you celebrate just getting out of bed, because it's, for some people, it's a struggle to get out of bed. But what motivates you? What motivates you to keep on going every day and to get out of bed and to share your vibrancy?
What a great question. I suppose it is reflecting on my journey of remembering what it was like to not want to get out of bed, to, you know, and then sort of, you know, really remembering the times when, oh, I got out of bed and I got dressed, you know, and then there would be the day where I actually got out of bed, got dressed and went and fed the birds. And there is a key, I think, in feeding the birds. That is part of service for me. I can see that I am doing something for somebody else. That is really why I'm here, because I want to share that my passion, my joy, and say, look, you know, you can have this. I have done the work. I have done a lot of work, and I still do the work. You know, it's not, oh well, I've dealt with that, and then it's all gone away. And another powerful practice, I think, for me, is the practice of gratitude. So there is a gratitude journal on the website as well. I use my own gratitude journal. You know, I use my own tools because I think they're good. And so before I go to sleep at night, I just reflect on my day. Oh, have we? Oh, I wasn't sure if
We're still here. Yep.
Yeah, we're still here. So I reflect on my day and I think about the things I just want to say thank you for. And a little check-in with myself. How am I feeling today? And it's a really easy flower that I color in the number of petals of how, because you know that brings in my creativity. And what do I hope? What are my hopes and wishes for the following day?
Yeah.
Sometimes that drops into, if I'm not alert, it'll drop into a to-do list, which is not what it's about. It's, well, how do I want to feel as I move through my day tomorrow? And just, you know, leaving one day behind and going, right, every day is a new day.
Yeah. Thank you. And I love how you said it's more, you know, it's not really what I've got to do, but it's how I want to feel.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing. Thank you ever so much for coming. I really do want to continue our conversation. So please do come back again. I'd love to know more about the garden party, love to know more about you and, you know, and being, you know, all the wonderful things that you are, and sharing your, like I said, sharing your vibrancy, your vision. And I just want to take a moment just to honor you.
Oh, thank you.
Truly to honor you and to thank you for being there for the world and guiding, being the soul guide. It's a wonderful thing. Love to know more about that too. So thank you ever so much. And for everyone who is watching, do stick around. We will be putting the links in as soon as we can. And to check out the garden party, as Celia said, and also all her wonderful, her gift and everything else. We'll be putting all those in very, very soon. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Bye.